Again, greetings, everyone.
Greetings.
Greetings, brother.
Greetings. Peace and blessings.
Yes, indeed. It's good to see you folks, you fine folks, you hardworking folks, you folks in the struggle, and you folks of high consciousness. So, I will open the forum as we normally do with a couple of things that you know, the UNIA has as part of our rituals. You know, I'm not going to get into everything, but two of what I consider the most important thing: the official UNIA pledge to the flag and the preamble to the Constitution. So first, let me do that. The official pledge. I will read. So to save time and not have everybody in there saying anything that's you know, we're overpowering each other with our voices. So here goes. I commit my body, mind, and spirit.
I commit my mind, body, and spirit
To the protection, defense, and security.
to the protection, defense, and security
Of the red, black, and green.
of the red, black, and green.
I dedicate my life.
I dedicate my life
To the redemption of Mother Africa.
to the redemption of Mother Africa
And the liberation.
and the liberation
Of her scattered black children.
of her scattered black children.
I accept for myself and my descendants.
I accept for myself and my descendants
The teachings of universal African nationalism.
the teachings of universal African nationalism.
And I promise that our children.
And I promise that our children
Will be instilled.
will be instilled
With the purpose and knowledge of themselves as African people.
with the purpose and knowledge of themselves as African people,
In order that the cause of our struggle.
in order that the cause of our struggle
Will neither falter nor fail.
will neither falter nor fail,
Until all black people are free and united.
till all black people are free and united,
Through one God.
one God,
One aim.
one aim,
One destiny.
one destiny.
And as we know, as you know, this is being streamed live through Facebook, and many folks out there who may be for the first time taking part or watching this a forum that we have on a monthly basis. We've been doing this for a couple of years now, and we normally would be doing it in person. Right in Washington, D.C., where we are at Division 330, and we'd be at a venue. What's the venue? The
House.
Umoja House.
We will be soon, Baba.
Yeah, okay. But this is, I'm not complaining. We, you know, we when we're doing it in D.C., we generally are doing a local presentation, which is in case normally, but with the Zoom, we can spread out, we can reach out, and that in itself is a good thing. So we're reaching out to folks all over the world, since, you know, Facebook will take us there. And but some people have no idea what the UNIA is all about, and so the preamble of the Constitution has a good description of where we are, where we should be, and hopefully where we will be in the eyes of the world, or Marcus Garvey, the dream of Marcus Garvey and the dream of all of us, and that's in redeeming the African people to that respectable place in society. The Universal Negro Improvement Association and African Communities League is a social, friendly, humanitarian, charitable, educational, institutional, constructive, and expansive society, and is founded by persons desiring to the utmost to work for the general uplift of the Negro peoples of the world. And the members pledge themselves to do all in their power to conserve the rights of their noble race and to respect the rights of all mankind, believing always in the brotherhood of men and the fatherhood of God. The motto of the organization is one God, one aim, one destiny. Therefore, let justice be done to all mankind, realizing that if the strong oppresses the weak, confusion and discontent will ever mark the path of man, but with love, faith, and charity towards all, the reign of peace and plenty will be heralded into the world, and the generations of men shall be called blessed. And for those of you who have yet to,
Ashe, brother. Ashe.
yeah, that's that's the preamble to the Constitution, and there's a lot more in the Constitution that all Universal Negro Improvement Associates and African Communities League members should be familiar with. And that's why we have our meetings. That's why we have our conventions. That's why we have our parent body meetings and directing our path towards where we should be. So that's it. That's it in essence, the introduction or the opening greetings. I would like to say that, having you folks together here to discuss this very important situation here in this country, and if we want to look outside of this country, we see that this is a matter that is a problem worldwide. Where there's violence against African people in places where they may be minority and in places where they are majority. So it's a very important discussion that you guys will have or we all will be having. And each of you are in different communities. And what we will be doing here is having each person tell a little about themselves. At first, the first 5 minutes that we'll you're giving 5 minutes for you to do that. And then we will make a circular and come back and have a discussion. And each person, it'll be like, how this call and response sort of thing goes on in the African way. We will discuss what are the issues, and we will discuss what solutions we can come up with, or what we're planning, what we're doing to make it right. So, yeah, but I am so sorry. So everybody was sitting there quietly, and I apologize. I'll go over this again. Wow. Yes. As I was saying, that this issue of violence in our community is a very important issue. And how we will approach this discussion is that each person will be called upon to say a little about themselves. And after that, you go around in a circle after you introduce yourself, and then we'll have a discussion. Now, what has been a situation here is that some people have given a bio of themselves, and some people haven't. So in order to make this equal or even, we'll just allow everybody to say a little bit of themselves, without us having to read any bios. Okay? Is that okay with everybody here? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So, you see, you didn't get, did everybody get emails? Like, I know you didn't get yours, Brother Tao, but they were kind of late this evening as well. But we have a script for this because we normally try to be even with everyone. And the first person I have here will be Brother Tao from San Diego. Then we'll go to Sister TJ, then Jabari, then the Fred Williams, and the brothers out of Chicago, Hyson and Brother Jody. Then we'll go to the PG, President General of the UNIA, and then we will have this broad discussion. coming first of as to out of this what you've said to me about yourselves, I'll formulate some questions, or maybe let if there's anyone in the audience, well, we can leave that. But anyone else who is on the panel may ask each other questions as to what they're doing. So I'll start first now with Brother Tao.
Yes.
Just say something about yourself and where you're at and how you're doing here. Yeah.
Peace and blessings, everybody. Race first.
Race first.
I want to start off with saying that I've been doing organic liberation type of activism in San Diego for well over 20 years now. I was the founder of an organization called 100 Strong, which is still lightly put intact, but it worked as an organization to help people uplift themselves within the community. We work with a lot of gangs. We work with a lot of just people that's just needing help. I'm also one of the founders of our only freedom school in San Diego called Beta Salam Academy. It's an African-centered educational program for our children. It's now in its 8th year, and we're seeing very great work through that with our brother, our master teacher, Kweku Abdallah. I've also worked with the Stop the Genocide movement here in San Diego, in which I met the brothers, #1 STV Chicago, on our trip around the nation with 10 aggressive young youth at that time. We went to Chicago first and met with those brothers. We passed out meals to the homeless, and we were able to intertwine with their organizations. We went to Washington, D.C., where we met with other organizations, and we took our children to Howard University. After that, we went to Atlanta, and then we went to Houston, where we met with other organizations with the Stop the Genocide movement. That was a 2-week trip. Like I said, I've been working in the community for a long time. I've been doing a lot of stuff organically with all these other organizations that we've actually created and we helped get off the ground. And right now, I'm also working in the capacity with my sister, Olivia Dixon, which is a UNIA member, to where she has a nonprofit called Shoe Drive Worldwide, where every year we get underprivileged children shoes and everything and get them prepared and ready to go back to school with backpacks and shoes and everything like that. So like I said, I've been in the mix in San Diego for such a long time. I'm an independent barber. I own a barbershop. This barbershop is not only a barbershop, it's a community resource. So we have all types of events down here dealing with every aspect of life and everything that we're going through right now with the violence. I think I've just had SPV1 down here. Brother Jabari has visited, and we're doing a lot of great things down here. So I don't want to go ahead and keep on going about all the things that I do. I want to hear everybody else and see what they're doing also. But we are doing some great things down here, and I can't wait for our convention for everybody to come see the beautiful city that we have here in San Diego, Baba.
Very good, brother. Very good. Out of what you put forward, the questions will come to you regarding what you do. So you've done well by your introduction. So I'll move now to which second person here is San Diego. That's you. Now, Sister TJ.
Greetings, Alafia, everyone. I am Sister Akua TJ Robinson. I live in the LA area where I am a lecturer at Cal State Dominguez and Cal State LA in Pan-African Studies, Africana Studies. And in the last year and a half of a PhD program. But as far as my work, I am the executive director of a nonprofit called Natural We Community, where we put on tutoring services, a food bank, a natural hair show, financial literacy workshop, self-care workshops, all about empowering our people, celebrating our people, embracing our culture. It's just wonderful, wonderful partnership. In 4.5 years, we've raised $5,000 for 2 schools and 2 organizations in getting ready for our next major fundraiser and Juneteenth celebration in 2022. And I also am a life and spiritual wellness coach, where through African culture, life coaching, Reiki, I put on wellness retreats at the ocean and really foster healing and embracing our culture, who we are as African people, that we may be more than well. It's been beautiful. It's been great. I'm very excited and very looking forward to this conversation. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, my sister. That was very good too. Love that introduction as well. So next we'll go to that other part. We're going up the coast, up the West Coast. So we're heading towards that area where Brother Jabari is located. That San Francisco, or is that Oakland? Oakland. Oh, it's within
Yeah,
that.
that's open, brother. That's
Okay.
open. Yes, sir. You know, it
Okay.
is a difference. You know,
Yeah.
it is a difference. I mean, we African people, you know, all over. You know what I mean? They made these borders. We didn't make these borders. But my name is Jabari Ali Shaw. You know, I'm the chair of the 510 division of the UNIA ACL RC2020 Panther division. Yeah, we directly connected with with Panthers. You know, I've been taught by Bobby Seale and a plethora of Panthers. You know, on down the line. Myself, I got activated around 2005, 2006. I thought racism was a thing of the past. You know what I mean? And I got sent to San Quentin prison where George Jackson had did his time and was killed there. And I learned so much, you know, from being separated and sitting at different tables from white folks, not being able to be fed by white folks, by being attacked by the Norteño Mexicans twice, being attacked by skinheads and Serenios once, being attacked by the guards, you know, because I was in the pen around the time that they killed Stanley Tookie Williams. So, you know, I took an oath from in the pen that I would go back to build up the community that I helped destroy. And from that, you know, I started going to Laney College, you know, at an older age, but I started going to community college, got involved, joined the Black Student Union. With being the president of Black Student Union, I was able to meet with community organizers, like having Panthers come up there every year for their anniversaries, having Amiri Baraka come up there, having Hussein Hussein and the last poets. And so I got a chance to rub elbows and mix with a lot of great organizers. And around the time that Oscar Grant got killed, my Black Student Union group, we took our little collection money and we went to LA for the trial. So during that trial, we was in the courtroom, you know, I sat in the courtroom and posed as family of Oscar Grant. We organized up and down the coast. We organized with unions. We organized with labor unions, with hospital unions, student unions to shut down the whole West Coast. They shut down the ports with the ILWU, a group that I'm very familiar with because Nelson Mandela came out here because of the ILWU, did a lot of protests and shutting stuff down for him and shut stuff down again for Mumia Abu-Jamal, who I've done a lot of work trying to aid his campaign, him and Troy Davis and many other death penalty candidates that we've been fighting for. So, yeah, man, in a nutshell, I'm a well-rounded guy, you know. Prison focus is my focus, bringing people back in to become, productive members of society. But, you know, I've been a student organizer. I work with the Black Caucus for community colleges. That's about 119 Black student unions across California. And, you know, fighting against the different cuts to education and whatnot. A song I had went viral called Chop from the Top that I did for education. And, you know, I've been known for community feeds. I'm a member of the Black Riders Liberation Party, New Generation Black Panther Party. We advocate armed self-defense, you know, through food programs and give away clothes. I organize out of my mom's church, you know, and other churches. Although I'm Muslim, you know, I work with all faiths. You know what I'm saying? As long as it was Black. And lately, the work that I've been doing is trying to unify Garveyite and unify those who call themselves Panthers and Panther members all across the nations to let go all of the different funks and feuds that we had, to realize it's COINTELPRO, and that's why we fighting each other, to realize the white man, the enemy, is putting us up against each other, and if we could come together and love each other, then we could conquer all.
Great, Jabari. That was good to hear from you and hear about your experiences and the work you're doing to a certain extent here. So we will move on to, are we coming to the eastwards now, to Chicago? So let me see, Brother Fred, you want to go first?
Sure, I go first.
Okay.
Yes, I'm Brother Fred Williams. I'm kind of new. My resume is kind of new, so I'm gonna be briefly.
Don't worry
I
about
love
it.
Black folks, and I moved back to Chicago from Minnesota, where I coached AU basketball for 18 years. I had age group from 5 to 18 years old. I started off with 8 kids, but ended up getting 45 kids, so I couldn't say no. So I spent most of my life just, giving back, to God people, trying to, lead the youth in the right direction. And then, my calling was called, and I ended up going, moving back to the Windy City. And I hooked up with Brother Jody. We've been knowing each other since childhood. He's the CEO of #1STV. And I'm the team coordinator for #1STV. I'm in the medical field. I've been in the medical field for about 10 years now. I love what I do. I love people. And I just love my brothers and sisters down in San Diego. One peace, one love, one God. Thank you.
Peace and blessings. All right. Thank you, sir. All right. Brother Jody.
Hey everybody, how y'all doing?
All right.
I'm Jody Beatty, the founder of Stop the Violence, #1STV. And it came about after losing my little cousin in 2008 to gun violence. I lost my son 2010 to gun violence. Then I lost my nephew 2012 to gun violence. I quit my job and went into the hood after being a former career gangbanger, trying to turn my life around and started my organization because I didn't want anybody to go through the pain that I went through of losing loved ones. So I started going to the streets, no office space or nothing. Went to the streets and started the organization where we started getting in the middle of gang wars. And then as time went on, it grew. And now we go out into the community and we feed 500 families a week. And we feed the homeless. We do a lot of mentorship programs. And out of that, we gave birth to my brother's keeper, which Fred Williams is the in charge of that. We get a lot of Black men together and mentor them and let them go back and grab their nephews and stuff and start bringing them to these peace circles that we're gonna have and just to try to empower them. Because I believe when men stand up, boys sit down. And then we in collaboration with my boy Tyrell Travis, all the way from San Diego. We working on a project now where we'll be able to take youth from Chicago and bring them to San Diego to show them something different.
Perfect. Wonderful. Thank you for that. This is the kind of thing that we like to hear. I mean, we all should be hearing, not just us in this forum. We don't get this kind of testimonial in out there in the, I guess, the major newscasts or the major broadcasters. Very little of that ever comes out. We see more of the wrongs that are being done than the rights that are being done. And it's part of what we need to do is perhaps change that paradigm where we can bring forward and show what people are doing to change. Because if you're hearing or you getting that picture that you're a criminal and most of what you do is negative, I'm sure that is part of what affects the mindset our folks, the young folks, especially those folks who are in situations where economically, you know, they're deprived. And I don't want to use the other word, which I think some people have been using. Right, we have one of our county leaders who consistently talks about how depraved our young people are, and you know, that's another story. So what we are glad to be together. I'm sure we in the Division 330, UNIA, RC2020, to which most of us here are, we mean to work. You know, we are glad to work with people such as you brothers in Chicago, and with what you're doing, and I'm happy to hear that you know you're working with Brother Tao and Jabari, and this connection, I'm sure will have a positive stream for the future. So I'll now move to another part. I'll be coming directly to the East Coast. You know, PG Akili Nkrumah of the UNIACL RC2020 is domiciled in Philadelphia. He's been experiencing a lot in Philadelphia regarding young people and everything that's good and bad in general. But he's working towards the good, the improvement, and the development. And so we're going to hear from him. You know, his idea of what's good in Philadelphia, or what's being done in Philadelphia, or what should be done in Philadelphia. Right? Now let me stop talking and let you do the talk.
Right. You asked a multitude of questions, and I was also listening to the other brothers that have spoke before me. Violence in the city of Philadelphia is not much different than the violence in the neighborhoods across the country. It is at an alarming rate. There's an alarming rate of sisters that are being shot in the city of Philadelphia. And I presume that's a nationwide statistic. I could check it. But for this conversation, I want to just put us on notice that what's missing is there is no African nationalism in our community as it was in the 70s and 80s. And I had a conversation with an elder brother who said, Bobby, we need to tell folks we need Black nationalism. You know what Black nationalism did. He said, but if we say that, nobody's going to hear us. Well, maybe not. There are a multitude of programs that people are designing to address violence, because one of the things they do, they got a list. This is why there's violence. Unemployment. Since Black men, for the most part, are unemployed, violence is rampant. Number two, education. Education is a problem. Since Black men don't have education, violence is rampant. Oh, okay. So they got employment, you got education. They said, and then the other thing that makes violence rampant is opportunities. There aren't opportunities. Now, all of us are in different parts of the world, but they say this is for any part of the world. You tell me whether or not those things are critical. Because if unemployment is a problem, we're at a time to where employment is easy, because everybody needs somebody to do the work. So is it really unemployment? When a person said to me, we need Black nationalism, you want to know why that rang to me? Because I remember I lived through the period of the onslaught of Black nationalism when men of African descent took younger men and said, this is what we're not going to do, and set a course, set rules. They say trauma, and I don't disagree. Trauma is a part of the violence, but I think there's some other things that they're not talking about. So, Baba Mosley, if I may, our youth today don't know how to talk. They know how to do technology, they faster on the phone than they are faster on the phone or faster on the computer than they are in creating a sentence to talk to somebody. So they don't know how to talk. Parents aren't engaged in their children's lives. Parents have set parameters that said other parents can't intervene because they in their children's business. I'm sorry, and this old school, but if you 20 years younger than me, you ain't got no damn business that I can't intervene in. I apologize for the profanity. I get a little emotional. I think I'm entitled. But at the same time, they say, you know, there isn't a value system. The rules have changed. In the city of Philadelphia, sisters are being shot and murdered at an alarming rate. There's two factors to that. The city of Philadelphia never tell you. First factor is sisters aren't being sisters. Sisters are being a part of the entities that create the situations. So being sisters isn't going to keep them safe because they're in the game. When you get in the game, all rules is off. The other part is brothers, and you notice I didn't say men, brothers that are in the game also have no value system, no rules. There are no rules. Okay, now to some more surface entities. There are more guns on the street today than there ever was when Baba Mosey and I were teenagers. Or Baba Singor or Brother Zama, there's more guns on the street than ever. There are more ghost guns being made. And I know, does anybody don't know what a ghost gun is? We all cool? We know what that is?
Yep. Yep.
Okay, because I don't want to say it and then people are like, I don't know what you're talking about.
No, we don't.
Okay, there are more ghost guns that are being created because they get a design over the computer, go buy the materials and make the gun and don't have no serial number. In the city of Philadelphia, we have done through woofer arrest. The city has done through woofer arrest over 2,000 ghost guns. That's 100% more ghost guns than they had a year ago. Hello. So if we're talking about violence, we're talking about principles, we're talking about, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention the catchword. Anybody here not familiar with the word trauma? Yeah, okay. I was traumatized as a young person.
Yeah.
I was traumatized as a young person, but I had a papa and a mama and a grandpapa and uncles that said, don't give a shit about that. This how you gonna function. This how you do. Today, we don't have that. We don't have a family structure that's intervening and having the conversations with our young men and women to keep them from down on the street. But let us also be clear. That's not 100% of our youth. We're talking about a percentage of our youth between 15 and 10. So we have to look at the other side of that, but the numbers keep jumping out at us and we keep focusing on those numbers. Okay. So if employment is an issue, you can get a job. If education is an issue, we'll get you education. If opportunity is the issue, we're going to get you opportunities. Therefore, what, pray tell, is the problem? So let's make a cultural analysis. A, you look in the mirror and you hate what you see. You don't even recognize that you hate what you see. So that when you get into an argument with someone that looks like you already hate what you see in the mirror. You have no respect for that person because they look like you. Our cultural revolution brought about a change. The economic submission, the economic subversion brought about another change. See, when we think and that drugs and that type of economics is what's driving the violence. And I would say this for most urban cities, if not all, over 46%, 50% of every homicide is because two people got into an argument. not a broken drug sale, but an argument. So the brother Tower, you were on my screen. So me, you get into an argument, then I go home and I'm gonna come back with my 9mm and I'm gonna look and find you. Then I'm gonna text you. Where you at, my brother? Where you hanging out at? And you're gonna text me back. I'm at, you pick a place in San Diego, I don't care. And I'm gonna say, oh, okay, and I'm coming up there and I shoot you. Nobody can intervene because there's no conversation. So we have to build the conversation outright to our young people. We have to get engaged. We have to get involved. We have to start having to communicate. And I know employment is an issue. I'm sorry. All of these scientific data says lack of employment opportunities, lack of educational opportunities is 50 to 75% of the reason this violence happens. We live in America. And anybody didn't forget that. You live in America. It's an American condition that Black people are going to be pushed to a certain realm. However, we can change the paradigm. We are the Universal Negro Improvement Association African Communities League, RC2020. We can change the paradigm because we can say to our youth, and we can say to people of African descent, we got a way. Not only to make it economically sufficient for you, make it politically sufficient for you, but to make it so that all of the issues that you face, both spiritually and emotionally, can be addressed. It's enough of us to do that. That's a challenge and a charge that we have to take, and a challenge and a charge as President General is already on my plate. And I know Baba Moses said, I didn't ask you to get into this, get into that way. I know Baba Moses saying, what, Baba Kelly, where you going?
No. No.
If we talk about the root of violence, let's use history as our guide. We are more violent today, and yet we have more knowledge, but we don't surface and search the knowledge.
Okay, Baba, I think I'll stop you there because we're at that particular time now, pardon me, we're according to our script at 7:50, we'll go into a discussion. And I like I didn't plan for you to ask you anything to bring out what you brought out, but what you did bring out is a good segue into how we can make a discussion about violence, because you covered a lot of territory there. And, so I'll move in this circular motion. I'll move back to San Diego. And let's get something out of Brother Tao, some of the ways in which they're approaching young people. They're approaching this violence. And, what is really the issue that you feel or think is increasing violence to the stage of where it is today?
Well, in San Diego, we've been having a gang problem since the late 70s. Unfortunately, during the crack cocaine era, we had a lot of split families and a lot of young brothers come up raising themselves in the streets. The social issues that we see here in San Diego kind of pretty much mirror everything you see in Philadelphia, Chicago, and every place else. We're looking at the whole economic scheme. We're looking at the whole social, the whole systemic thing that's going on around this country. And us mirroring these things, we try our best to actually go to the source. When we started Beta Salam Academy, we felt that African-centered education with our youth, starting them so early, especially with a male teacher, would probably be the best way to trigger a reversal in the way that we've been seeing a lot of these young men go. I do a lot of mentoring here in my barbershop. Men come in my barbershop all the time. I've saved a lot of young brothers, and I see a lot of young brothers go to death and or prison. Unfortunately, you're not going to save everybody. A solution to a lot of this stuff here is us building more industry, us creating our own jobs, us actually as men going into the streets and trying to talk and deal with these brothers ourselves instead of letting the law enforcement deal with these brothers. I see a lot of people saying a lot of stuff, and I see a lot of nonprofit organizations in my community letting the money go by the wayside and really not doing anything. They're wasting money and wasting time and efforts. So like myself per se, and what we do here in San Diego, we don't work in a capacity as a nonprofit. We work from the heart, stepping with our left foot forward. So we stepping from the heart, and what we do is strictly, I mean, you get down into people's actual true livelihood of what they're doing in their lives. And once you dig into that the real essence of that inner spirit of a person, you can really see some dark stuff. So, you know, we need a lot of work in our communities. I'm talking about we need some psychologists. We need men that's actually go out on the streets. Let's go out, try to find these brothers and try to get these brothers cleaned up, get their minds straight. Like I said, we're not going to save a lot of brothers. We tried doing that. So we have started a program with our youth with Better Salam Academy, working our youth into our program to where we can put into our children, submerge them into a whole African-centered way of living and give them a sense of pride and who they are. That's one thing. Everything else is basically everything that we've talked about. STB1 that we're dealing with in Chicago, we've been working on this thing for the last 4.5, 5 years of trying to bring young men out of the war zone of Chicago to San Diego and take them up in the mountains, show them gardening, boxing, life skills, and doing a lot of other types of things like that. It's starting to come to fruition. We're going to actually see this thing happen, but right now we're still in the works of trying to put everything together. So we are working on some things, and I believe that we will actually see some success, but it's going to take the UNIA way of thinking, this independent way of thinking of trying to actually do for us, for ourselves, by ourselves, because we can't wait for nobody else. We tried that shit before, and it didn't work. So that's where I'm at. That's where San Diego is. That's where I think we all are here in this nation. And right now, I'm willing to work with anybody that's willing to help try to bring our people to the table, to the fold, to help our youth. I just heard Baba Achille talk about women getting shot and everything. I see women being really a big part of a lot of the problems here because we have social media gangsters now. We got guys that are actually not boots on the ground. They're actually behind their computers, gang banging online. And a lot of these women are fueling the fire of a lot of that stuff. We see them in the midst of a lot of this stuff when we see brothers go out there and start killing each other. So we're seeing a whole different variety of violence and in many different forms. So like I said, you know, I'm willing to start where we started already with Better Salam, dealing strictly with my youth. And I know that we're not going to save everybody, but I'm willing to put my hands down and let everybody know that I'm coming from a very forceful place in my life, dealing with all the violence that I've dealt with in my life. But I've been able to give back to my community in a most powerful way. And I'm glad that I'm connected with all you brothers because we do have the same mindset. Hopefully we can make a change. Got enough, Baba Mosa?
Yes, I got it. I got to keep moving. Yes, my brother. What you have just said has touched me in a very deep way, especially when you go to the part of starting with education, you know, let's say right out of the womb. Because right. I think the biggest problem we have, like Brother Achille was saying, is communicating. And we have to get our children to understand how we can communicate with each other with love and not hate. I mean, where is this coming from? This thing about you hating yourself so much that you would online, communicate with somebody and then go out there and shoot them. I mean, it's sad. But I'm saying, if we can get our children into African-centered schools, as you were mentioning, so that they can be taught the African thought, the African deep thought, so that when they see each other as a family member and a love, something to do with loving each other, because it's necessary. And some of it is the neglect in the communities we have. We're Black communities, and people are running around. They no jobs, no hope. That word hope too is one of the problems. If you can't hope that sometime, somewhere in the future, you will be doing something positive. It means all you see in your life is negative. And you're hating yourself, you're hating your brother, you're hating everybody else. So, like you said, it needs us to come together and do this work. But if we're poor, if we don't have the resources, it's a very difficult job. But of course, cooperatively, I think we see this through the education process that we have. We are all being taught about this individualism. Where it's me, myself, and I. You really are not thinking that we can do this, whatever we need to do to benefit society, the wholesomeness of us living together is something we can do together, in a sense, not by yourself. So I love what you said about that part in educating, but we got work to do. And by the way, let me ask you a question. What is the city helping in any way to generate this kind of education? Helping, let's say you're showing something positive, you keeping your young people together and teaching them something. Are you getting benefits from the city? Is anybody there looking at what you're doing and saying, you're doing a good job, this city needs people like you. We've got the resources and let's help you out. Or do you have to go to our own people and get that help? Well, how are you dealing with it?
Well, basically, dealing in this city in San Diego, we're dealing with a lot of people that's asleep. And unfortunately, we don't have a lot of support out here. They look at something as an African-centered education, something scary possibly to a lot of people. Like I said, we started with my son, which was a guinea pig almost 8 years ago. And we've actually seen the success run very well within the city, because we track our children after they leave our program. I realize, and I'm sure you all do too, especially with PG Achille being an educator itself and having schools from back in the day, when a child is basically blessed with African-centered education, especially knowing about themselves, learning the history about everything that's happened with them, what's going on with them, they have a better vision. They're actually able to see themselves in a better light. They visualize things a lot differently. And then you'll see a brighter kid. You'll see a kid more active. You'll see a kid more interested in learning things and having a whole different outlook on learning, on the learning process, especially when the child is looking at a teacher that looks like him, that cares about him just as much as his parents do. So that's just one of the things that I say. And like I said, we don't really have any support in this city. Everything that we do, we scratching 2 nickels together to make this thing happen. And it's working, and that's why we call ourselves a true freedom school, because we are truly free from a lot of the stuff that probably holds down nonprofit schools, or even further than that, just the basic public school.
Okay, well, thank you for that, brother, and and segueing out of that right into this going up the coast again. With the education. We'll be dealing with someone here now who is in the same educational field. She's in the process of educating, changing the minds, and I know she's there. I've heard her speak publicly. So, sister, let's get from you, Sister TJ, and let me get your name so that anybody out there will understand who we're speaking to now. This is Sister Aquia TJ Robinson. Speak to us, sister.
Thank you. I'm going to start off with an analogy. Growing up, I played sports, and one of the things that I tell my students now is, if you were to put me on the track with Allison Felix, Marion Jones, put me on the court with Cheryl Stroups and Cynthia Cooper, Lisa Leslie, all of them, I'm gonna say I'm gonna win, even if I'm out of shape. Right? I'm going in with a mindset of, you can't stop me, because I know who I am. And that is one of the things that I am very excited about on this panel is we all know who we are, and we have a passion for continuing to impart that knowledge, that wisdom, that confidence into our people. So here in LA, in education, in my organizations and the work that I do, we address that trauma. I learned from Dr. David Horn, who you all know with Reparations United Front, when I was in school, and he talked about internal reparations and this repairing. And so I really deal with how do we repair and heal our mind, body, soul, and spirit, coming from our culture, coming from that standpoint, and not taking away from our individualism, because we all are individuals. So when we're calling myself Akua, you're speaking to me as an individual who is still part of this community and having that interconnectedness that I think is extremely important. And we've been able to foster that in natural lead. Our staff, whenever anyone is coming into our organization, they automatically are told their day name. What day of the week were you born on? Oh, you Avana. Oh, you Kofi. Okay. And what that means, and why are we creating this community? Why am I asking you in talking about technology? Why am I asking you in our group text message, how are you? How can I support you? How can I pray for you? Those are the first three questions that anyone who is part of our organization receives. And then we go into, if you're going to be part of this tutoring program, you can't just be a tutor just because you have a doctorate in science. For example, we have one of our tutors has a doctorate in science. No, you have to read Asa Hilliard to be an African teacher. You have to understand that not only are we imparting the periodic table of elements, but we are reaching into the soul and the spirit and the essence of who you are, that you are able to walk with your head tall. And, I'm grateful that our parents have said, not only have our students improved, we had one young man who was like failing in English. And the next thing I knew, he was like, Sister TJ, Sister Akua. I said, what's up? He's like, I got B+. I was like, hey, go, right? And the next thing I knew, he had cornrows in his hair and he was just really fly, right? But the parents are also telling me, hey, they are walking different. Hey, they're talking different, and we see a change. And we see that, and going forward, and here in LA, it's great to see. So as we're talking about trauma, I'm thinking about all of these other organizations. I'm thinking about the Giants Den, who is making sure that iron sharpens iron with their men, and they're going to each other and they're talking about how to have a book club with themselves, how to actually cry and address and say and check each other, right? Or having the sister circles that I've been blessed to be part of, and imparting that and saying, yeah, yes, we are acknowledging that there is violence. We are acknowledging that there is trauma, but we can't stay there. When I'm teaching music and I'm talking about music as healing, yes, we can talk about Ludacris' song Slap, but we can't stay there. We can talk about Kelly Price, I'm tired, but we can't stay there. We have to move forward and think about President General Keeley was talking about hope. So we're going to move from Slap into going and playing Twista and Faith Evans' Hope, or if you want the CeeLo version, or we're going to go into the song that talks about divine masculinity and divine femininity, and moving into there and seeing it change, because as much as we talk about it, we must also walk it, as we know that children imitate what they see, and then they emulate it, and then they become it in their own way. And so that is what I see. That is what I focus on, and my community focuses on, and it's great. And I'm hopeful, as much as it seems like, oh, it may be a little dismal, or we may have taken a step back with COVID. I've also seen that even in the midst of the pandemic, there are groups and there are lights in the dark who are shining bright and continue to shine bright. And we all know that when the light is on, the people are going to see it. So we're just going to continue to keep our light on. Thank you.
Good job.
Okay, thank you for that, Sister TJ. Now I've got to ask a question before we, with these things, when something comes to your head on a question, you have to take the opportunity and try and get that answer before, because other people may have a lot to say before you get back. So one of the things you mentioned was this financial. You're teaching, what is it? Literacy, financial literacy.
Yes. So
Is this financial literacy? Is this just about, let's say, banking, insurance, or are we getting into that place where we can teach our folks how to manage their money or better, so that their children can have a future, let's say, in education?
all of it.
Teaching, okay.
All of it. So natural, we put every September, we put on a financial literacy workshop series. And one day is budgeting, one day is life insurance, one day is medical, one day is crypto. It's all of it, because the natural it's every way that we need to empower ourselves, every way that we need to heal, every way that we need to celebrate ourselves. And one of the things that we say, find your niche and move forward in that, because we don't need, I'm not going to necessarily be on the front line, but my friends, my colleagues who are going to be on the front lines, they know that they can call me and I'm their emergency contact, and I know how to get their knowledge in front of friends and family. With the finances, I might not be I'm the healer one, right? I'm the wellness one, but our Timothy Bryant, our associate director, he's the finance person. So when it comes to September, he's like, I already got all the speakers lined up. This is what we're going to do. We have a segment for the teens. We have a segment for the college kids. We have a segment for everybody. And I'm like, great, go. And that way we're able to be strong together.
Okay. Is this filtering down in any way, let's say, to those areas where people don't have a lot of money, but they may have a chance to save a little bit of what they have.
Yes.
An opportunity to find ways to let's say improve their situation.
Yes.
By profiting in some way and investing in something.
Yes.
We do have our brother in San Diego, who's a good example of what somebody who is an entrepreneur. He's self-reliant. He's putting himself on the line, trying to teach others and everything else. And it may be small to him what are the results, but he's getting results. That's important. So I'm glad of what you're doing, sister, and hopefully we'll come back to you again and discuss some other things that I may have in mind from what you have said. We'll keep going up the coast, and we'll go to Brother Jabari. Yeah, just open up there. So yeah, and let me see. A question for you is, I mean, you are really active out there with a lot of folks, but tell me, what do you feel is importantly the effects change in people? What's the most success you've had, or that the community is having in bringing around people, adjusting, let's say, their path to a positive place? Yeah.
Well, we have a Break the Locks Books to Prison program where we send in books into the prisons, and you know what I mean? It's phenomenal because, like, in life, we out here constantly, there's that going on, and we don't have time to focus. But some of our best minds are behind enemy lines, locked up in prisons or whatnot. But it's a couple notes I wanted to address. I want to talk about what is violence. So when you get to talking about violence or whatnot, violence is really based on your perception, because one act of violence can be patriotism, you know what I'm saying, where another one can be seen as gang violence. So we looking at young men who are all military age, you know what I'm saying, crammed on top of each other in a little community, ran down housing, and you know how it go. Your boss kick you in the butt, you go home, kick your wife in the butt, she kick the child in the butt, you kick the dog in the butt, he go chasing the cat. So, you know what I mean? When you talk about violence, you have to think about, what I mean. Imam Jamil Al-Amin said, you know what I mean? Violence is just American as apple pie. So it's about perspective or perception of what we're doing. You know what I mean? So when I was in prison, you know, there was no black on black violence. You know what I'm saying? You might be on the yard, it'd be two Crips, one blood, somebody from Oakland and somebody from San Diego, and they the best of friends because they know what they up against. They know that it's skinheads on the yard. They know that it's white supremacists on the yard. They know that there's Mexicans on the yard, and they will stick you. They will poke you. And so, you know what I mean? Black people have to go to the bathroom with each other in prison. You know, if I have to go to the bathroom, you got to come stand there with me and watch my back while I relieve myself. You know what I'm saying? But we get on the streets and we forget this in individualism, as the Bible said earlier. You know what I mean? So in the pen, we don't have no active aggression against each other. Everybody knows they black and everybody knows what they up against. But when we get in these streets, you know what I'm saying? They got to set up against us to keep us apart. You know, you think about gentrification, how they push us all out of. This is one example how it happened when I was young. I'm from West Oakland. They shut down the biggest project in West Oakland called Acorn. And then they sent all of these people that's from Acorn, they sent them to Alameda to a project. They sent them to 85th to a project, 65th to a project. And so with you going to these different projects and you being from somewhere, then it's hard to get accepted in that community. You know what I mean? So they had to build these alliances, you know what I mean, called gangs. We call them social clubs because, you know what I mean, it's innate in people to create social clubs, you know, even if there's no adversities, no problems, we gonna create some kind of social clubs. And that's what we was doing. And that's what people were doing for protection. We got over 105 murders in Oakland, California right now. But with gentrification, if I'm from West Oakland and I'm just in West Oakland, I don't have no food with the people. I don't like people from other places, but I don't never come in contact with them. With them pushing our communities into each other and moving people around, you know what I'm saying? It forced us to be in each other's faces. And then they came with this this housing thing that where if you move to the suburbs in Tracy or Stockton or Antioch, somewhere like that, then you can take your Section 8 and so let's say 1,200 is my rent agreement. I could get a 1,200 building there where it might be 4 bedrooms when I'm in a 2-bedroom in Oakland. So a lot of people moved there and didn't know that their enemies would be right next door to each other. So like, I mean, yeah, it's problems between people and it's gonna always be problems between people, but piling us on top of each other is an issue. And like they closing schools down. So they closed one school down called Havens Court, and they gonna make kids go 30 blocks up to another neighborhood to where these neighborhoods never liked each other. And from basketball games, from the swimming pool, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that it's right, but when gentrification comes in, when school closures comes in, it forces these people to be on top of each other who naturally didn't really work with each other in the first place. So they provoking and promoting the violence that's going on. They helping the violence to happen by closing down our schools, by pushing us out of our neighborhoods. You know what I mean? And forcing us to be on top of each other. You wonder why a police officer could come kick in your door, knock your mama down the stairs, beat your brother up, take you to jail, and you get out of jail and want to be happy. But I owe you $20 and you want to come beat me or pistol with me or harm me and my family. So it's the perspective of it, because we're willing to die for something, but we're not willing to die for the right things. You know what I mean? And most of these men are young men that are military age. You know what I mean? If we was in Africa, then y'all be training. You know what I'm saying? And so we have all this testosterone, all this aggression is going on with TV hypnotizing us, with the music hypnotizing us. We listening to violent music. And if you know anything about African drumming and everything, it was a certain drum that they go to bury people. It go more like doom, 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 doom. And this is basically the drum and the beat that we vibe to in most of the music that we listening to. So you being hypnotized in the music without knowing it. When they chanting evil things, you know what I'm saying, about killing different people and stuff, now this gets into me and I have like a Tourette syndrome. I'm just yelling out, yeah, fuck that, forget that, woo, 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 because I've been hypnotized through the music. And they figured out how to do it from taking John Coltrane music. You know what I'm saying? I mean, hitting them blue notes and stuff. And they figured out because where he hit a G note and a C note at the same time. And the G note will hit you and it's soothing, but the C note is harsh. And what they do is give us underlining messages. And they're giving us underlining messages in the commercials, underlining messages in the music. Hate yourself, fight each other, kill each other. and we're not recognizing it. We're just acting it out on each other. So perspective is everything. If we knew who the enemy was, if we knew the, you know what I'm saying, what they were doing to us, then we'd be less like Garvey said, if black people knew who they were and what they came from, they'd be less likely to disrespect themselves. You know, if our perspective is really where we need to be at.
Thank you,
We
Robert.
teaching it through books, and that's why we sending books into prisons. You know what I mean? So where they can read the right literature and get their mind right.
I got you, brother. I'm sure everybody else does, and I can tell from that emotion that came out of you in relating the situation you're in, that you know it touches you deeply, and I'm happy to say that you know, I'm proud of you and I appreciate what you're doing, and hopefully that we, you know, we'll be in a position sooner or later where we can get the minds, because as you mentioned, this subliminal messaging that comes out of some of the music and whatever is put out there to our young people, these subliminal messages of violence, you know, they're unknown to them. They're absorbing and inculcating this matter of violence, and there's nothing you can do as an individual to stop that. But if we come together with, like I'm glad you're coming together with brothers who are seeing things the way you're seeing it, and I guess that's the way we're gonna have to go. And we're gonna have to do this on a larger scale. Hopefully we can influence you with this program or this forum being widespread. It's on, you know, it's streamed now on Facebook. It's going to be on our Facebook page, Division 330. It'll be there forever, and hopefully people will be dealing with it, and will want to, you know, subscribe to what you're doing and what everybody else is doing, so that we can move forward. Thank you again, Brother Jabari. You have a question?
No. I just have a small statement. I think it's Dionne Warwick shared one of those hits that said, "What the world needs now is love." Our churches and synagogues and mosques are supposed to be teaching love, but they only teach it in the room. I mean, how can you get the churches to help us teach one another to love each other? You know, as a helping hand. I mean, the church is a big institution, and they're located in the neighborhood most of the time. But I think what I'd like is like all those organizations to come out and don't teach love just in their buildings. They need to, you know, with violence on the street, you know, they need to come out. And I don't know if you know, as a mass, we need to put more pressure on them to say, hey, come on, you know, let's preach peace and love. Because if you love something, you don't kill it. If you love yourself, you don't, you know, then you love someone else. And if you even love a dog, that's your dog, and nobody can harm it and nobody can mistreat it. And thing is, we need to see how we can do that and raise ourselves from the bottom of society, and there's a lot of room up at the top for us to climb up and stay up there. Yeah.
Hey, brother, I wanted to mention this because we do work with some churches and stuff, because a lot of times people's family members get killed and they can't even afford to give the body release from the coroner. So we work with a group called Gaddafi, who pays for the body to get released from the coroner, and they help to get a casket. And we have about 4 or 5 different preachers that we go to, and they do funeral services for free for the families, because a lot of times you can't afford to bury your loved one. A lot of times they can't afford to get their body out, and so they cremate the bodies, and it's just weird. So it's not actually our program, but we do intercede and help foster to help people to get services for their family members, and then they end up joining those churches afterwards. So it's a win-win on both sides. for the church people who donate their services to us, and for the people who are lost and need some kind of guidance at that time. But we know most of the church people ain't even in church these days, and so we have to take the teachings of Dr. James Cone. You know what I mean? And so it's not just on your religion, but figure out what's in their book to say that is good, and just preach that to them. We're not trying to win them over this way or that way, but we find the best of their religion and try to meet on common ground.
Thank you again. I'll ask everyone to mute their mics if they're not talking. There's a feedback coming through on our end. Okay, thank you again. Let's see what's happening in the Midwest. Right, are we going to be hearing from Brother Fred or whom? Oh, I thought I was muted. I didn't get a response. Yeah. Fred, Brother Jody.
Yes.
Yes.
Anyone can answer right now? Yeah, from Chicago. Okay.
Basically, what I would like to see, more religion groups in the city of Chicago come together.
Okay, Brother Jody.
The issue we have with the churches in Chicago is because they're not from the community, so they don't really care about the community. So they run their church as a business. Go have service, collect tithes and offers, and go back home. So if you're in the community or part of the community, and you know the heartbeat of the community, and you try to do things as a pastor to change the community. But I want everybody to focus on the word church. We are the church. That's just a building that we go in. So whatever that's instilled in you, you're supposed to take it out into the world to show love and peace. And that's where we get it mixed up at. We go into this building, we call this church, and we keeping all the resources inside the church. Jesus didn't do that. He went to the highways and byways. You found him in the taverns trying to save people. You found him in the whorehouse. You found him in all these different kind of places trying to save people. So when you talk about the churches, we have to identify, do these people really know what church means? Or are they at a church, or are they a part of the community? Because when you're not a part of the community, you don't care nothing about the community. You only care about where you stay at. And that's the problem we have. We have churches on every block, and we knock on these doors, and half these pastors don't even stay in the community.
Yeah. Well, I do feel that there are some churches that do work here in Washington D.C. As well as we in the education side of things, we have some African-centered schools. BC has a history of producing young people graduating out of African-centered schools who are doing well, at college exams and going forward. Well, we need more of that, and they're not well supported. We've lost a few, and schools and so on that aren't African-centered, they're being sourced by or being funded, I should say, by outside folks who have the resources on a level playing field. And I don't think that is so for the African community. Why are we having all these issues with education? Why are children not paying attention to what the teachers have to say? What is it that's causing that? But I don't want us to get into that too much. the other what I would like Chicago folks to say, let me know is that what in your mind is affecting change? What do you see as the best thing happening right now? If there's anything we can talk about, that's the best thing. Brother Jody?
You say what's the best thing that's happening?
Well, in what you're doing, what the results are you getting from, let's say it is violence in Chicago, and what you're doing, where do you find let's say, yeah. Where do you find that you're getting best results?
Well, as a grassroots organization.
You're freezing, you're getting.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm hearing you.
Okay, as a grassroots organization, I think we're making a great impact in our community. It's turning around slowly because we're able to get in the middle of these gang wars and talk to the youth. And also, I was able to build a relationship with the police officer to hold them accountable for their actions. So that's been a plus for us, where I can tap into them and use their resources, where we're able to do job programs in the streets. Have people come out that's hiring, background friendly. To hire them, and also to get the officers to know who's in their community and who are they serving. And allow them to help with the mobile food pantry to build a relationship. And also to reach out to some of the youth to let them know, hey, we human beings too. And it's building a relationship with everybody across the board, where now we have situations where people just want to come and talk. Like gang resolutions and things of that nature. And the biggest problem that we have is that most of our youth are homeless. Or meaning their dad locked up and their mom on crack. So who they become loyal to? They become loyal to the dope dealer on the block. You're 12, 13, and you starving. Now this guy come along, and now you eating, and you 14, and you riding a nice car and dressing good. And those are the problems we have, because there's so many broken homes. And then we have the city of Chicago trying to dictate to us how we need to change our neighborhood when they're not from our neighborhood. So a lot of grants we have to turn down because the things that we're trying to do to empower our people. So that's why we have to do a lot of fundraising and different things of that nature, so we can get straight to the sources. Because a grant would let you do A, B, but you need to do A, B, and C. So when you do A, B, you can't do C, you done damaged the child even worse, because you done sold them a dream. They thought they was going to get there. Now you done dropped the ball. Now they went back to the streets. Now they ain't harder in the streets than they was ever before.
So you're saying that you are having, let's say, from the police department, you are having some help, or are they part and parcel of what you're doing in any way positively? The police department.
Yes, because in our police department, we have people that was from the community, that are commanders, sergeants, or whatever, and they want to see the change, and they have a passion for the people. So with me doing what I'm doing and involving them in it, it made them be accountable for their officers' actions. You say you want to be a part of this, you say you want to change this, so this is what I need from you. We need to have police in this community that either look like us or have a passion for the people. And we sat down at the table and we talked about how can we do this. So when we go on a block, we just don't want you to go on the block to lock people up. We want to go onto the block and let us bring opportunities for housing, for jobs, for food pantry, and all these other things, programs, to try to get these youth in programs. That's what we want to see. So it's been working. It's been working pretty good.
Is that the aid with the aid of politicians in any way?
Well, it's the aid of being a police department. I don't really play the politician role, because as long as you doing things that's in that favor, they can help you. And then when it's not working that way, then they just leave you out there high and dry. And my thing is, when I build my momentum, I don't want it to be stopped by nobody. So I'd rather do it on my own, so I can keep it going at a steady pace. So it won't be, okay, yeah, I helped you do this and I need you to do this. And what you asking me to do might be against my people.
Yeah, I got you. So the Stop the Violence group, how long have you been working? You said 4 or 5 years. How long have you been doing this?
Since June of 2012.
Yes. Okay. All right. Well, I congratulate you, brother, and I'm proud of what you're doing, and I hope this is going out to folks in Chicago, and I'm talking with folks in the community. You know, we've got a division. We got people in the UNIA out there in Chicago, and hopefully, you know, you can connect with them in whatever way we can help. You know,
Yeah.
Connecting with people who are resources that can help out. You know, so thank you very much for the work you're doing.
No problem. I have
And
some. I have some aldermen.
does anybody else? Does Hyson want to say anything? No. Brother
Good
Hyson,
afternoon, guys.
would you like to say anything?
Well, I'm out in the field right now,
Oh,
actually doing work,
I think
but I can step in for a minute.
Hyson is muted. You're muted, brother.
I'm in the field right
Okay.
now.
Okay. Okay.
So I can step in for a minute.
Okay.
As a member
I
of
see.
STV1,
All right.
as one of the members of STV1, we are out here as a grassroots organization and trying to not only help the youth in our community, but we're trying to find ways for them to be able to excel in the God-given talents that they already have. I truly believe if you're able to sell drugs, you're able to be a CEO of any organization, any company, or anything else. It's just someone letting you know that you have these abilities and enhancing them with giving you motivation to do better. And that's one of the things we do. We also have several organizations that have came from us, Brothers Keepers, Anchor Chicago. And some of the tools we use there is I own a security company. We hire young Black men from our neighborhoods, from our community that's dealing with gun violence, drug violence, and we employ them, show them that, hey, what you're doing is actually a job. If you can stand there and protect someone selling drugs, you can go get paid for this. And that's a great tool. We take their natural given talents and show them that there's ways to be employed by it. That's one of our tools. The other tool is consistent education. We have to educate our people, not only on books, but also about who they are as a person, who we are as a people, as a community. That's something that's been lost. Our schools don't teach us who we are. We've been lost, and that's a part of it, educating our people. So that's just some of the things I wanted to touch on.
Okay. Well, thank you, my brother. Good work. Yes, indeed. You know, it is not easy for folks to get out there and to do, because, you know, right here in DC, we had I think it's this year we lost one of the brothers who was out there, you know, trying to make peace and he's an old school brother. It's not like it's a young, and he was shot. So it's dangerous work, right? And so we got to give you guys a lot of credit for what you're doing because it's absolutely necessary that you get there and try to deal with the youth. I mean, they need to be committed with. We need to know what's in, and I love the work you're doing. Uh, who else? Is anybody from Chicago? Brother Fred?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Brother
I
Fred, you're
basically,
not back. If you would
I
like to
basically,
say a last word, please go ahead.
yes, I'll be briefly. Yes, I basically agree with my
Yeah,
two
no
brothers
problem.
up ahead of me. But the
Mhm.
only thing I like to add in there is, we do need to start off with loving ourselves though, because when you love yourself, you want to kill yourself. So, we got to have that spirit of the fruit in us, that love, that peace, that joy, that greatness in us that God created us to be. And we got to understand that God is the object and we is the subject. So we just got to keep communicating. And keep communicating with one another. Keep fellowshipping. From one city to another city, and all our people need to be on one accord, though. And that's where we're gonna move forward in this madness and to pull our people out this darkness. Amen.
Yes, thank you very much. All right. Okay, well, listen, that was Chicago. And yeah, as was mentioned earlier or before, we all have the same issues, and we all need to come together to get to some positive stage, or to relieve us from this stress, this trauma. And trauma is what Brother Kelly was one of the words he was using in dealing with violence. For me, violence is a lot of different things. It includes and to have enough teachers in science and different things. Because we see in African-centered schools how the success they have, if they can do it, are really not getting to the minds of our young people. Because if the African-centered schools are doing it, it means they're making these children love themselves and want to do for self. And listen, they're doing great. You see it all the time here in DC. But so I don't know how many African-centered schools are in Chicago, but I hope better of mindset in a lot of ways. So what are we gonna do now? We're gonna go to Baba Kitty out there in Philadelphia. And, Baba Kitty, you mentioned a lot of things, and I cut you off, and I apologize, but I know that you're in the field. So Baba Kitty, are you ready for me to continue?
I hope so, because I
Did you
raised my
drop
hand
off?
several times
Oh.
when there was an opportunity to
Oh, I
address.
don't.
That's okay, because
Oh,
Sister
okay,
Aquia
okay.
brought up some pieces about education as well as this brother. And brother, I can't see your name. I see Baba Mosey under your face, and I know that's not Baba Mosey. And we talked about hiring young people to teach this a job. So let me go back, because you also brought in the church. So I'm going to say some stuff that's happening in the city of Philadelphia. The government in the city of Philadelphia is putting $22 million in the hands of community organizations thus far to do programmatic pieces to address violence in the city of Philadelphia. So when you're looking to say, well, what can we do? They are putting money in order for your programmatic pieces that they see rational and visionable to make a difference. So that money is being dispersed as we speak. The question is, does that change the scenario? My sister Aquia spoke about children that responded in a who in a very positive way. And I thought of children from the Marcus Garvey Shule, children from the Tamu Sasa here in Philadelphia responded in a positive way, but that's not the masses. I listened to the last brother was on, another brother from Chicago, and neither of them mentioned Ready Chicago. And that's a program that I spent 3 days learning about that you didn't mention, that says, hey, we're successful. So I question their success if you didn't mention them, if you follow my drift. You see, so it isn't money, it is education, principles, and values. That's for sure. Because everybody that talked about providing the direction and the principles and the education hit on a note. So what don't we do in our community? That becomes the question. Because what we don't do in our community is why the violence in our community is at such a great rift. I don't know how many of you are young enough to remember street violence in the city of Chicago that became organized, or gang violence in different cities that were challenged by Black men. Where are the Black men to challenge? You say, wait a minute, you ain't mentioning the sisters. I did not, but I will now. Because you see, the sisters played a relevant role in challenging too. So in today's world, and I want us not to get caught up in solutions from yesterday, because in today's world, sisters play an integral part in the violence that is created and can play an integral part in the salvation. Sister Aquia spoke about a young brother who changed his position and did well in a particular subject, and she praised him. So how do we manifest that 100,000 times? How do we manifest what the brother said that you want to see in a church 100,000 times? If city government puts out money, how do you manifest it? You manifest it with a commitment from everybody to make it happen. Whether you get $1, a dime, or nothing. Because it is the cultural aspect of missing Black men first, missing Black women second, and they're not second to us or subservient to us, second only in the sense that now Black women are out there on the street, same as Black men, contributing to the violence that we experience. I wanted to speak earlier because a lot of people, a lot of you gave some very positive suggestions. And if we don't grab them as a part of this conversation, we'll have this conversation again. You'll make the same suggestions, we won't have went away with something that helps change the scenario. So let's, if I may, talk about change. Since money can be obtained, I don't know that that's change. I know, as all of you know, getting Black men and Black women to teach Black children values and principles and rules of engagement is a change. We don't teach rules of engagement anymore. The internet does. We don't teach resolving arguments anymore. The internet does. And when it comes to us, the lesson is elimination. We don't teach principles of work anymore. The internet does. We have to change this scenario to where what is taught on the internet is these brothers and sisters on this call. we have to make more of our voices heard so that more of I listen, young people look at videos and they react. Young people have arguments and they react. 46% of the homicides in the city of Philadelphia are due to arguments over the goddamn internet. Let's challenge it by being more engaged. I'm sorry, Baba Mosey, I'll stop now.
Yeah, I got one thing to say, brother. You can be engaged, but the problem we have in the city of Chicago is a thing what they call the RICO law. You got a lot of these brothers that's half juice that want to step up, but it goes like this: if they step up and get on these shorties, start changing, and because they rotate with these shorties trying to change them, if something happened, he's held accountable for that murder for that one dude who didn't want to listen, who went out and did something. It falls back on that OG. So until the laws change, they'll allow the OGs to step up and do what they need to do. It's a hard fight. And that's when it takes like guys like me that really don't care about that law and do it under my organization to try to make a change and try to teach brothers love.
No. And so I can say to you, first, Asante Sana for that. Thank you very much. But then that has to become a part of the platform that we put forward. I don't know all the conditions in Chicago. You do. You got to say, this is a condition. This is something we got to fight. Then we make it a part of the plan. I'm with you.
Right.
I'm with you. You see, but if you don't say that now, because you didn't say it earlier, but you're saying it now, that means we have to incorporate that into whatever we plan to do. Like I said, I learned about Ready Philadelphia. I spent 3 days in a class about Ready Chicago. I know you know about Ready Chicago. I spent 3 days learning about it. They ain't never mentioned what you just said.
They're not. And
Right.
they're not. You don't even hear about Ready or Chicago. You might hear it. Okay. So one of the things is organizations like that get the money, you never hear about them coming to the West Side, or if they do, it's a few people that know it. It's like we don't get that information.
Got you. But,
we don't get that information.
On this call, that's what we got to say. Because that's how we go challenging this shit and fix it. If I spent 3 days learning and I done learned more from you in the past 15 minutes than I learned in 3 days, that's what we need to talk about. I don't mean I'm not yelling at you. I just get emotional. No, I hear you. You know, it's passion. Because I know we can fix this violence problem. I know we can. But just like you say, they're getting the money. So they ain't going to go tell you, hey, this is what gets in the way. The RICO law, I like that. I need to know. Because they want to do that same shit here in Philadelphia. Hello.
But you know what? The only way that we could really make a statement, right, is somehow come up with some funding, right? So when we have all these shootings going on in Chicago, I get a busload of you guys coming from all over. And we take a stand and go on these blocks and say, we tired. Now that's gonna get the eyes of the people downtown and everybody else. We tired. Now these people were passionate. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Now we need to help. We need to direct this money into these grassroots organizations so we can make this happen. Instead of giving money to people that's coming from out of town with these white faces, and then you give them all this money and they're not doing nothing. But it's us. My organization only had 12 members, and then we're making a greater impact with the little money we have than these organizations that's getting 30 and 40 million.
I'm feeling. I understand you 100%.
So I'm saying we need to do something to get some attention to say, listen, I done tapped into these African Americans all across the nation. We got people here from 30, 40 different states. We 300 strong. We want peace in our streets. We want to march on these blocks where they sell a dope at and say, hey, next time Miss Jones come outside, y'all better carry our bags and respect her or we will be back. That's what I want to see.
I'm with that. So let's try to put that let's organize that. You already got an organization. We got one too. Let's organize that. We can make that kind of statement. And then we need to make that kind of statement all across the goddamn world.
My point exactly.
Yes, sir.
We need to go on tour. You got some in Philadelphia? Man, a 3-year-old got shot. We show up 300 strong in front of the person who they say they did at their house. Man, listen, we here in love. We need buddy to come out and turn himself in. We coming in love. What's going on?
And a part of what you're also saying is we then need to connect to the black militias across this country that have to be connected to somebody and say, okay, come into our communities and patrol our streets.
Yeah.
We don't need other folks patrolling them. Let's patrol our streets. We can do
But
that.
but we want to come in an attitude that they're
Right.
not doing nothing wrong. We want to come in an attitude with
No,
love.
I agree with you.
And we want to engage them to stand up to be in their own community. So when I go on blocks, I go on blocks with love, and I get people to stand up in their own community. We have blocks we've been on. They never came out the front door of their house for years because of the gangs. We come over and let them come out on the front of their house, meet their neighbors. They didn't even know they had kids on the block. We get them in fellowship. We come over there, get them to build up their block club. Now they coming outside. Now they put the gangbangers down the street. Yep. Now the gangbangers walking down, calling, "Hey, Miss Williams, how you doing? You need your grass cut? You need this? You need that?" So I mean, that's what it's all about. Because once we start that, we start reaching people. We start talking to people.
I agree with you 100%. I'm sorry, Baba Mosey.
All right, thank you. Listen, that's what you did is open up the floor to anybody who needs to ask a question or to make remarks or to say something that they feel they can contribute to the discussion. So does anybody else want to come in and say something? If not, say we pretty much almost at closing. We got 7 minutes. So if you got closing remarks, make some closing remarks. So what do you say, Brother Tao?
I want to say this thing about, I love what everybody just said. We are fighting an uphill battle, and we all know this. Working with the brothers in Chicago, I've seen the firsthand of everything that's going on the West Side, dealing with the people and meeting all the people that I met. Like I said, in San Diego, we have our problems that may not be as massive as they are in Philadelphia and Chicago. But one thing I do want to emphasize about us and everybody that's actually listening, we actually also need to get back to building industry. Right here in San Diego, we have the Black Contractors Association right now, and they have a program for young men to go and work on construction sites. Unfortunately, they don't have the proper funding themselves, dealing with city officials and dealing with city politics. I'm trying to motivate and trying to get a whole bunch of organizations together under this umbrella, which we started years ago called the RTC, Reclaiming the Community. And with these organizations working as one unit, everybody knows their part in trying to make these things happen. We have a whole bunch, in Southeast San Diego, we have a community of elders that are actually losing their homes, or their homes are going into some really bad situations. I want to be able to work with these organizations and bring in all the money in one pot underneath this one umbrella, to where we can get this Black Contractors Association brothers out there working, fixing these elder people's homes. I'm talking about knocking out 2 birds with 1 stone. And from that point, we're then creating these young men. We're creating jobs for these young men. We have to get back to creating our own business. I'm gonna tell you something. We can learn a lot from, I hate to say it, the LGBTQ community. The things that they did. Listen to what I'm saying. The things that they did. They did what we were supposed to do. When nobody was servicing that community, they wouldn't service themselves. They started building their own communities. Their dollars started going around once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. What they created at that point is they started hiring more people at these jobs. They started purchasing politicians. After purchasing politicians, they became the politicians. If you look at the city of San Diego right now, almost the whole entire city of San Diego, all the people downtown are LGBTQ, even the mayor of San Diego. They created a funnel of money that was able to go around their community and recycle and give every single person jobs. All the programs came through them. They didn't need outside money. It came through them, and they made it work. So we got a lot of work to do, and I have a lot of things that I want to put on the table. And my thing is like this right now, PG, I see where you're going with this whole thing, and I think we got to make sure everybody come together. We're going to have to start flying out there. I'm ready to fly out to Philadelphia, Chicago, and DC, and every place else right now, so we can start building these bridges, because it has to happen, and I think it's going to happen with us here in the UNIA.
No doubt. And I know Baba Mosey recognized me, so I'm kind of like flexing. No doubt. It will happen with you and I, yeah, ACL RC 2020. You see, because we're going to be the entity that's going to hear it all. We're going to be the entity that kind of shapes it and make it happen, because I want to at some point be planning a trip to go to Chicago, and Chicago name the block that we go on to say enough is enough. And then when we go on another block to say enough is enough, it'll be brothers from Chicago and it'll be brothers from Washington. And then we're going to go. And folks going to look and say, hey, y'all on the old side. You know what? Age ain't got nothing to do with the impact that we can have in the community. You understand? And therefore, we will bring the youth. We will bring the youth, because that's who we're going to speak to. We're going to bring the youth. You got to demonstrate and show and have an example in front of them for them to follow. That's RC 2020.
All right,
and every organization on this call, because whether you are a member or not, you are Black like me. I am Black like you. I'm connected to you because you want the same thing I want. I want to stop our killing. I want to raise our nation, and I want to speak to the world as one nation, one government. As Marcus Garvey said, one God, one aim, one destiny.
All right. Okay, great. Thank you very much. And now, before we close, is there anyone else who would like to say something or ask a question? TJ has disappeared?
No, I'm right here.
Okay.
He ain't going to disappear on us, because we're going to come back to LA and raise hell.
All right.
And we will be here ready for it.
I know. You're going to be leading the way. Right with David Holmes.
This has been beautiful. I am excited. Thank you so much. And it may be uphill, but we strong and we are mighty, and we are able, with the diligence, the perseverance, the love, to go up that mountain and conquer it and continue. I know that our freedom, liberation, not only is it possible, but it is attainable, and it is already here in the spirit. And so it will manifest in the physical. And I really salute all of you, praying God's spirit and ancestors' protection as you continue to be in the streets and on the front lines. And as we bring in our people, no matter the age, naturally, TJ's Wellness, UNIA, we will also be here to, once they're back in the fold, to really heal and repair mind, body, spirit, and soul. And just very, very excited with all of the fight, power, love, and passion that we have. So thank you.
Thank you, sister. Your radiance is helping a lot too. And that nice seascape you put out there is making me jealous. Anyway.
Take the ocean wherever you go. It is cleansing, it is healing, and it's always with us.
All right, my sister.
Hey, Tao, can you make sure I have everybody's number so I can reach out?
Okay. Yeah, well, we'll share that.
Okay.
Brother Jabari, any last words?
Yeah, I just want to say, like Garvey said, oppression is the best organizer of men. So it's on us to constantly point out these contradictions. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Go, my student. Go, my student.
It's on us to constantly point out the contradictions of this society and what's going on, so that we know that we need to come together, band together. You know, it's sad that we hate people that look just like us. And, you know, just like Garvey said, man, if we knew what great culture we came from, then we'd be less likely to disrespect ourselves than others. So get to know your neighbor. Know 5 people on your block. You know what I'm saying? You talk about being a community organizer, but do you actually know your community? You know, that's where we start at, talking about the violence, because it's hard to hurt somebody that you know. You know what I'm saying? I grew up in a community where we knew people's first names, last names. We knew their grandmas and everything. But now we don't know. I don't know anybody now anymore. You know what I'm saying? And so that's important. That's the first step, to know your neighbor. Talk to the person next door to you. And then we can get to know the world and build together.
Thank you. Man. Thank you, brother. Anyone else?
Yes, I just like to, yes, this brother Fred from Chicago. I just like to say this was definitely a blessing. You know, it was definitely a blessing. You know, thank you guys for the invitation. I have learned a lot from this. So, you know, I would take it out and manifest it through the community. Thank you.
And Brother Fred, look for me in Chicago.
Man, I'm going to give you a hug, brother, when you come there.
That's right. We're coming to Chicago.
I got you.
And Jabari, I'm coming to you too.
I'm coming to
Coming to
Oakland
you
too.
too. But I'm going to Chicago. Tao, you already know when I'm coming to you.
Okay,
That's right.
I think there's one person who has not said anything yet, and you know that would really be something. If he doesn't get a word in here, I wouldn't hear the last of it. So
You're right. You're right.
Yeah,
Baba Senghor, let me hear what you got. I see your hand up there, but you know this is that tiny hand.
He ignores hands, Baba Singo. I want you to know.
No, but
I raised my hand 9 times. He ignored the whole time.
But I want to say real quickly though. First, PG, thank you so much for taking time out to be here with our brothers and all of you brothers and my sister. Y'all have been excellent. I just came back from meeting with Mama C in a personal meeting where she was interviewed. You all can probably pick it up on Facebook. But what I wanted to say, I'm pumped. But what I wanted to say is what y'all just did, y'all laid out a blueprint for moving forward for those brothers and sisters that are sick and tired of seeing what y'all did not mention is the police killing, the killing that the police are doing. America is a violent country. It's a violent nation. It was built on violence. It will always be violence until we take not just America back. We got to take Africa back. And then that don't mean everybody got to go to Africa. Africa's got to come to us. That means we got to run things wherever we are as Africans. And that means we got to control our communities. One real quick thing that I heard that I've been advocating for years. We got to create our own security, our own security forces that will protect our sisters and our youth from the police killing and from killing each other. So the education and all that stuff is fine and dandy, but until we're serious, like PG mentioned it, we don't need brothers and sisters running around saying Black Power unless they're gonna practice Black Power. And Black Power comes with controlling our communities. So I wanna thank all of you all for taking time out, for being on Freedom Fridays. Thank you, Baba Mosi, for giving me an opportunity to spit a little bit. But I'm telling y'all, we're gonna win. It looks like we wallowing in defeat because we haven't got our grip on hold of the unity that we got to have of going across this nation and taking back our communities. I say one God, one aim, one destiny.
All right, well, you know, I have to be respectful and give the PG the last word.
Of course you do.
Sante Sana. Woo! To all of that's been said, that's so true. But there's a particular reason why I didn't mention police killings, because I see so many killings by Black people killing Black people. And if I could curtail the incidents of Black people killing Black people, then focusing on white people killing Black people becomes easy peasy. Because Senghor has said it, it has been said throughout this conversation, it's time for us to dictate what happens in our community. Brothers in Chicago said, come to Chicago, we go on a block 300 strong and say enough is enough, and say, if we got to come back, when we come back, shit is on. I'm with that. I want the militias at some point to understand, if you keep trying to connect yourself to American law, it's not going to work for you until you are connected to the government of African people, which is UNIA, ACL, RC2020. And then as a militia and you patrol those communities, you patrol them as an arm of the government. You see, white folks ain't stupid. And Black folks are so intelligent that we ignore some of the subtle facts that's important. There is an amendment in the Constitution that allows you to bear arms if you are an organized militia, therefore connected to protecting the governmental structures in the neighborhood. In our community, UNIA, ACL, RC2020 has to be the recognized government that every militia is connected to, and then we get on the streets. And then when we get on the streets, we would do what the Black nationalists did, what the cultural nationalists did in the 60s. We get on the street and we say enough. And we meet you where you are. I agree with my sister. Let's do education. I agree with my brothers. Let's provide opportunities for jobs. I agree with all of that. But for the first and foremost, I gotta look you in your eye and tell you enough is enough. And be prepared to meet you on the battlefield. Every shooter in every neighborhood in America goes home to sleep at night. So there's a parent that's either terrified, scared, or don't give a damn. So I want to look that parent in the eye and say, enough is enough. We have buried too many of our youth, too many of our race at our own hand. And so till we get a grip on that, then I'll worry about the police piece, because they fighting that already. Oh, you got to do this. You got to have that. You know what? I give a shit about that. And I'll tell you why. Because if I curtail the violence in my community, black on black, that focuses my attention on black on blue. And whatever color your uniforms are. Violence can be turned around. When there were gangs in Chicago early on, they were turned around. When there was gangs in Philadelphia early on, they were turned around. What turned them around? Black nationalism. I can say that because ain't nobody on this call afraid of that. That black nationalism formulated by the philosophies and opinions of the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey, that's what changed the dichotomy. That's what it is. I'm not afraid to say it. I'm not afraid to promote it. And I know I'm talking to sisters. I don't know where my sister is. My sister and my brothers. So Brother Taiwo, I'm glad you're feeling me. Chicago, I'm waiting for the info because we coming. Gonna stand on any street corner you want. Jabari Shaw, you travel anyway. When you ready, we coming. And you my student, so you coming. And the professor coming. And Tao, you're gonna be my next student, the professor coming. I say that to say Asante Sana to all of you. Thank you, Brother Baba Mosey, for giving me the opportunity to be the last voice. The object of the Universal Negro Improvement Station Inaugural Rehabilitating Committee is to be the government of the Negro peoples of the world. Now, people don't like that word Negro. Okay. To be the government of African people. Yeah, you know, because see, I'm sorry, I'm educated. Negro is the race that we are. It has nothing to do with a geographical economy by saying African, but if Africa is what you prefer, I am both African and Negro. The one thing I'm not is an American nigger. That's what I ate. Sante San.
Thank you, PG. And thank you all. Yeah, let's, Brother Heru, do you have that thing queued up? So it's been a pleasure. I really am happy that I brought, not I, but we've been able to come together to have this discussion this evening. It's been great. This is the second one we've had in the last 2 weeks or so. We've had one that was more localized, but getting out there and reaching out to the West Coast and the central part of the U.S. in Chicago, Philadelphia. You know, if necessary, you know, somebody can call on me and say we need to have this. You know, we may need to have New York, we may need to have Florida or Atlanta or wherever. But what it is that we need to come together, and you know, everybody has to come together in order for us to make this work. So I give thanks, and I hope that we can do this again. And I you know, blessings to you all, your sister and brothers. It's really been a pleasure.
Whenever you want me, Baba Moses, I'm available.
Okay, my brother. Harold, are you ready? Oh.
Still trying to find the file.
Pardon?
Still looking for the file.
Okay, well, I don't think we have the time. Well, let me tell folks what we intended to do. You know, I can sing it, but you know, the PG says my voice is terrible, so you know, I'm not going to do that. We were going to play the International Ethiopian Anthem, which is the anthem of the UNIA ACL in closing. So since we can't find the file to put that out there, you know, I think I'll sing it. Do you think it's okay for me to sing it? Oh, he says no. So all right. So we'll close with our motto: one God,
One God,
one aim,
one aim,
one destiny,
one destiny.
power to the people.
Race first.
And
Power to the people.
take care, brothers and sisters. All right. Thank you.
Thank you for.
Thank you all.